ordinarily you don't think about healthy people taking drugs, but I have to admit that I drink 3 cups of tea in the morning, and I find, and that's to help me think.
I'm a taker of modafinil myself occasionally, but I got it in a very ethical way. It was prescribed because I had narcolepsy, that is falling asleep.
Perhaps there isn't that much of a difference between taking a drug like caffeine and some form of drug in a pill.
If it's just a matter of getting rid of the torpor from the night before, or waking you up a bit earlier in the morning or something like that, then that's fine. But if it's actually going to change the innate ability of people, then I'd start to get worried, because that gets down to biological engineering, and I think we need a debate about that before we go forward.
I think it's always wrong to give drugs to people who are basically well.
I found that it was very useful for sort of when I was just working. It made me, I felt I was more creative. I didn't have a lot of inhibitions about sort of starting something. If an idea came in my head, I did something about it immediately rather than putting it off till later, all of which I thought was very good.
If you're talking about a student who's trying to revise for exams, then if I was still a student, I'd probably be tempted to do it. And equally, if I were healthy but could see the onset of senility and there was a drug that enabled me to delay that, again I'd be very tempted to do it.
I'm not against it, but I think it's important that some way should be controlled, that it's not just a matter of everybody can take these drugs and buy them on the internet. So I think particularly because possible harms, I think so we should think about regulatory mechanisms, how to deal with buying and selling these drugs. Yes.
I'm sorry to say, I think that anything which is supposed to enhance us would have a deleterious effect in other aspects of one's life.
When I was taking it regularly because of the narcolepsy, I found in the end that I couldn't actually sleep for 2 whole nights at all, and then I must say I was rather anti-modafinil at that point.
And I read a lot of bad things about Ritalin, not that I have any direct interest in it, so I haven't really followed it, but I'm getting skeptical about things like that because I'm not even sure that they're addressing a real condition.
Well, ADHD could be a very big problem for those children, yes.
If I had a child with that sort of deficit, I would be comfortable with a doctor who was a specialist in the field, prescribing drugs, suitable drugs, such as Ritalin, yeah.
Irrespective of the evidence that appears to have been put forward to suggest that it may initially have some effect upon calming them, the long-term effect appears to be no, it doesn't have.
I think that it's been proven that, as far as I understand, that these have other side effects and that one can help children in other ways.
My father had suspected Alzheimer's and he survived about 5 years to about 92 or 93.
Alzheimer's is due to a physical cause, which they've got some idea of, and I've had people in my family who have died with it, so it's a matter of personal interest. And yes, I would be very interested in hearing about progress in that field.
I think there were more problems on frustration on his part, that he realised he had got something that he couldn't quite command the actual cognitive powers that he hoped to. And so he actually did take, in the home that he was in, an acetylcholinesterase inhibitor, which I thought at first would be good for him, but I think actually it wasn't too helpful in the end. But I think that was the only thing that was available that could be used.
It sounds as if there are drugs coming along that will have positive benefits, if only in delaying the onset of Alzheimer's rather than actually avoiding it. But of course, where Alzheimer's is happening in old age, delaying it could delay it. It's a bit like prostate cancer. We die with it rather than of it. If we can die with the prospect of Alzheimer's, which has been delayed, rather than Alzheimer's has actually happened, I'm all in favour.
Yeah, I think there's maybe going to be the danger of abuse, because I think a lot of people are going to you know, the grapevine being as it is and the media being as it is, are going to think, it'd be nice to be a bit more intelligent, whatever. Yes, I'll go and get a packet of these if I can from the chemist, which it might come down to eventually, or initially perhaps, okay, hope that they are prescribed.
Because if you want to go to the best university and you're going to have competition and you know that you're not the smartest in the whole of the country and you're going to be competing with everyone, so I would take the drug to go to the best university I can.
But obviously it is, in a sense, unfair on the students who, for ethical or whatever reasons, choose not to do it. But equally, you could say the students who revise harder, you know, have an unfair advantage of people like me who never worked very hard.
That's exactly the kind of thing I've worried about, because students would be bound to overdose. If a little bit is good, then a lot must be better, and so on.
I suppose it comes down to what you think a fair test is. I suppose if you think that the rules are, if you want to impose the sort of rules, if you want to have a sort of natural intelligence, if you think that there's such a thing as a natural intelligence, then you have to go for that level.
Well, I suppose I could be very, very curt and say I think they're crazy in a way, because it's going to give a complete false indication of their ability.
It is unfair, but some students are naturally clever and others need help.
If you spend more hours on your study, maybe you can have the same results of taking those pills, but that's a matter of investment of your time, I guess.
I think doctors are for illnesses, and this isn't about illness, and I think therefore that as long as they can get drugs that they can trust, then they should be able to get them without the prescriptions.
I think a doctor should be involved, because you don't know if you would have any side effects due to the drug, because as you're aware, you don't know the long-term effects of the drug, and if it's going to make you really ill by the time you're 40, you don't really want to be taking it, because what's the point of being clever for 20 years and then after 20 years you're dead?
Well, doctors could be a gatekeeper, yes, but on the other hand, there's a little bit of a problem. Is it just a matter of treatment, or is it just outside the healthcare system? I'm not sure where it is at this moment. So,
I think I would probably start to think that I might have to take a drug. Although I suppose that's a choice that everyone does make about, you know, if you want to be in certain high pressure jobs, people do make the choice. I have friends that work in the city, and they choose that they want to work in that high pressure situation. So it may just add one more slightly unpleasant level of choice to what you think you want to do in your working life.